Pontiac Convertibles, 1953 to 67 by Don Naris. There's Don right there, car enthusiast par excellence. He's written a few books, and I saw this one advertised on Amazon, and I didn't see any book reviews. I said 65 Pontiac with that distinctive front end that my father had brand new when I was a kid. He had a Pontiac convertible, white with a turquoise blue bench seat interior. And I said, I've got to get a copy of this book. And I wrote to Don. I said, Don, send me a copy of this book. I got to see what's inside. I'll do a nice review, because I didn't see any reviews, even though he said a couple had been done. So he sent me the book, and I'm going to look through it and see what we have. After the war, which ended in 1946, cars were pretty much rehashed after the manufacturers stopped making bombs and bullets and tanks and airplanes and ships. And by the early 50s, 53, the cars were all new. Pontiac still had their straight 8 flathead right until 54. So Don's put together a bunch of pictures, some of them staged with nice fixed backgrounds, some at car shows. And I love Pontiacs, the Chief. Some of them even had a Chief right on the hood as a hood ornament. I'm not going to read you the blurbs that are below some of these cars, some of these images, but we'll flip through it. There's a lot of black and white pictures. 6-cylinder convertibles, 8. Everybody wants a V8, but Pontiac didn't have one until 1956 was the first year. Kind of shared the same body as the Chevy, but I think it had a longer wheelbase, and it was more gussied up. Yep, V8, 1955, same year as Chevy with their 265, later the 283 and 57. Yeah, 268 inline 8-cylinder, 122 horsepower, a 50 horsepower jump when they went to the V8, which was just a few cubic inches greater. And the price was only up $61. Yeah, the straight 8 was gone, and they had a V8. So Don's put this book together. I'm going to look through it. Power steering with the Chief. Acrylics were in, plastics were starting. I think Tom McCahill wrote in 1967 that the new Firebird with the Quadrajet carburetor, which they had on the Tornado in 66, swimming pool. The Quadrajet was cast, and nothing would last. You'd never see a 67 at a car show in 20, 30, 40 years. Well, almost 50 years later, and these cars were made to last. Look at that old school. Is that an old school tachometer hiding in the knee knocker leg of that windshield? 1958. Fuel injection. Chevy had it in 57 and Pontiac had it in 58. And when's the last time you saw a fuel injected Pontiac? 1959. The cars got lower, longer, wider. The grille got split. That same clear horn button. Where's that 4-speed transmission? This one's got seat belts, period correct seat belts. I'm not a big fan of the 1960s. The front end was kind of plain. Looked like a last minute front end with 2 little turn signals just inside the headlights. The taillights looked like a shotgun. Look at that. 4-speed manual, bucket seats, 1960. Bonneville. 8 luggers with a flat center cap. Got some production figures and prices. Note breakdown of the options that were available. Interesting headlights on this Bonneville 400X. Design exercise. They definitely could have gussied up that front end. They were moving away from that split in the grille, but it came right back in 61 with the new body. They were having body style changes every year, but remember 1960 was the first year for the Corvair and 61 was the first year for the Tempest, which was offered in a convertible and half a V8 or a full V8. Got some statistics. There's the Tempest. 1962. I thought it was introduced in 61. Introduced in 62. 2 trim levels, custom and Le Mans. We know what happened in 64. 62 was the last year for the horizontal headlamps. In 63, lots of gauges there. In 63, they went to the stacked headlight with that big chrome bezel, polished, which would return in 65. Don's got some cars, various scenarios. There's a truck in the background to that one. This one's got bucket seats with an automatic on the column, and there's no shifter visible. It's there somewhere. Some of the Pontiac interiors are really nice. Triple tone, dark, white, and medium tone. Bonneville Convertibles had real, genuine leather, but only in the convertibles. Some of the upholstery was kind of plain, and some was kind of fancy. 4-speed manual. 64 saw the introduction of the GTO, Gran Turismo Homologata, homologated Gran Turismo. For GM John DeLorean, Mr. Pontiac himself, think of the DeLorean gullwing car. The gullwing was the Bricklin. The DeLorean had a V6. John DeLorean had a V6. Malcolm Bricklin had the safety ESV, or I forget the name of it. John DeLorean was a Pontiac guy with a DeLorean had a rear engine V6. Was it a Renault engine? Anyways, he was Mr. Pontiac. He and Jim Wangers, who did the marketing, created this 64 GTO, and boy, did it sell. And it's rare that you'll see a While it's rare that you'll see a standard transmission, it ran out of memory. I've got to review this book with a full memory chip. This is real life, folks. You will see lots of GTOs. Some had the console, some just had a 4-speed and a shift boot, but those GTOs sold and introduced a new era of a mid-sized car with a full-sized 389 motor. No more 326 or a 330 or a 318 in the Chrysler, the poly-spherical. GTO, 4-spoke wheel, divided grille, 3 little letters, GTO. 64, where's the 63 Catalina and Bonneville that show those exposed headlights? There they are, right there. Chrome headlight buckets. Simple taillight treatment for 64. They got rid of the exposed headlight buckets and they put the quotation mark tail lamps on the full size. I think we've got a picture of one. Yeah, there we do. There's the quotation marks. 2 big quotes. 2 big brackets. Beautiful dash with the optional gauges. 4-speed manual. Triple tone interior. Oh, that was beautiful. In 65, they went away from the X-frame, and Pontiac had an all-new body on the full size. The Tempest got the stacked headlights. Never had the exposed chrome like you would have seen on the 63s and 65s. Never to reappear. 65 GTO. Things were selling. Buick introduced the Grand Sport, Olds. The 442 Chevy had the Z16, of which 201 big block mystery motor 396 375s were introduced. Only 201 were sold. It wasn't until 66 that Chevy got the Malibu SS into wide-scale production. There's my favorite, the 65, just like on the cover. And there's some artwork. I'm going to show you who produced this artwork. If we could read the initials, those initials would be from the Picasso of Pontiacs. And here's an article by Arthur St. Antoine, which was an automobile magazine.com. I'll read part of it. Last November, the auto world lost a legend, and I lost a friend, says Arthur St. Antoine. Arthur Fitzpatrick, perhaps the greatest automotive illustrator of all time and co-creator of the iconic Pontiac print ads in the 1960s. He was 96 years old, and this fellow, along with his partner by the name of Kaufman, penned so many of the Pontiac images. And I read this, and it said that Mr. Kaufman, it'd be nice if I could give credit for his first name. Career that encompassed everything from designing cars to creating stamps for the U.S. Postal Service. Van Kaufman, who had passed away previously, Van Kaufman would fill in the background art. This is a collage of a 69 Pontiac. Whoop, and there it goes. Off into the drink. We're down here by the lake house, enjoying the view. Wishing we had a beautiful sunset, but we don't. But we've got to do this review as we promised. Mr. Naris, we would. Mr. Fitzpatrick. Getting back to the 65 Pontiac, I've got better control over this magazine. This book that I drew over a torn out page from Automobile. 65 Pontiac. Exposed and trimmed headlamps. Bonneville had a longer wheelbase and lots of chrome on the bottom. Grand Prix never had a convertible till 67, 1 year only. Minor facelift for the Le Mans, Tempest convertibles. The GTO was back with hooded tail lamps. 66 Catalina. 2+2 was introduced in 64. Carried over for 65 and 66. Available in Canada on the Parisienne. Carried all the way to 1970, even after the Impala lost the SS. The Canadian Pontiac still kept the 2+2, even though they only had 283s or 307s or 352 barrels. More of a trim package than the Pontiac high performance 421 2+2s. John Z. DeLorean. Just think Model J Grand Prix. John DeLorean. Firebird was introduced late 66 for the 67 model year, complementing the Camaro. Firebird 400, 67 Pontiac Catalina. There's a 2+2, like mine, but I had a Parisienne. The last year for this book is 1967. 1 year only Grand Prix convertible. The body was changed and the Grand Prix convertible was gone. This one's loaded. This is a Grand Prix with a dual gate shifter. I don't know they had them in the Grand Prix. This one may not be stock. It's got a simulated wood wheel, air conditioning, 8-track, AM/FM clock. Don't see a tachometer or gauges, but it has the safeguard speedometer, tilt, cruise, wood wheel, much nicer door panels, built-in power window switches. There's that beautiful front end on the 67 Grand Prix. Unique to the Grand Prix, not even the Bonneville got it. Hideaway headlights, and instead of having a headlamp up top, stacked headlights that were hidden horizontally, and a turn signal was put into the end cap. They had the 8 luggers, and the 8 luggers would continue for one more year, 68, but this book ends in 67. I will have to thank Don for his great book, and the specifications and the pictures, engines, manual, automatic transmission selections, resources and references. And there's Don. DeSoto's, Dodges, Plymouths, Lincoln convertibles, independent convertibles. He loves convertibles. I wonder how many he has. 1964, by the builder of wide track cars, Pontiac.